Hey, folks, welcome to the Guided by His Word podcast. This is Jack McNiel, your host, and we are a work of the Kempner Church of Christ in Kempner, Texas. And we've been looking at the book of James and kind of doing an overview, kind of hitting the highlights of the book of James. And so we're right now in James chapter 1 still. We've noticed the need to find joy in times of trouble, in times of trial. Certainly the readers of the initial readers to whom James is writing, they were suffering persecution. They seem to have been among the very poorest, and so they were really struggling in this trial that they were going through. And so James encourages them and really commands them to find joy, to count it all joy when they fall into these temptations. He uses the word temptation here in the sense that it's not a temptation to sin, but a trial or an affliction that they have to endure. And so he encourages them to seek for the wisdom, to endure the wisdom, to find the joy by praying to God and to have great faith in those prayers. He talks about how those that don't have adequate faith, they're unstable in all of their ways. He gives them encouragement to the poor, especially by making them to understand that in Christ it makes no difference whether they are rich or whether they are poor. The rich are brought low, the poor are exalted. They're all brought to a level where they are equal in the eyes of God. And then he kind of concludes this whole section in verse 12 with the encouragement and the reward of the patience that he is encouraging them to develop. He says there in verse 12, "Blessed is the man who endures temptation, for when he has been approved, he will receive the crown of life which the Lord has promised to those who love him." And so blessed is the man. The Greek word here is the same word that's found in the Beatitudes. The Greek word is Makarios, which means to be supremely blessed, by extension fortunate, well off, blessed, or happy. Again, it's the same word used in the Beatitudes. And in fact, really, James 1 verse 12 is a restatement of the 8th Beatitude, where Jesus said, "Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when they shall revile you and persecute you and say all kinds of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you." And so James kind of takes this same idea that those who endure temptation, the word endure means to remain, to abide, to not recede or flee. It means also to preserve under misfortunes and trials, to hold fast to one's faith, to endure bravely, calmly, all of the ill treatments that one receives. That's from Thayer's Greek definitions. Simply put, this really is having grit. You've got to be gritty. You've got to have the grit to endure these things. Now, again, this temptation is not the temptation to sin, but it's the persecutions and trials of this life. Over and over in the New Testament, Christians are told to flee temptation to sin, such as 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 22, where it says, "There flee also youthful lusts, but pursue righteousness, faith, love, peace with those who call the Lord out of a pure heart." And so we're to run away from sin. You always think about our temptation. We always think about Joseph and Potiphar's wife, and I made a little poem that goes along with that. When temptation reared its ugly head, Joseph shucked his coat and fled. Ran away. That's what we should do with the temptation to sin. But here, James is saying to endure. So he's not talking about the temptation to sin. He's talking about the trials of life, the persecutions, the trial they were facing. He goes on to say, "For when he has been approved, or when he's been tried and found approved, or passed the test, so to speak, he will receive the crown of life." And so tried or tested or approved, Again, it's like 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 6 and 7. He talks about a faith that is tried more precious than gold, or found to be more precious than gold. How did they try and test gold? As they melted it down in a crucible, and they saw what impurities were in it. The Christian suffering is kind of like that. It is a trial. It separates the dross away from the pure gold. And so when he is tried and approved, he will receive the crown of life. And so Brother Guy in Wood said that the one successfully passing the test, inheriting trial, he shall receive, future tense, at the end of the examination and not at the beginning. And so you've got to endure through all of it in order to receive that crown of life. That word crown here, according to Robertson's word pictures, is the Greek word Stephanos, which is a wreath or garland, a badge of victory in the games. In some of the games, it was pine leaves. Earlier, it was parsley leaves. The Olympian games, it was the wild olive. Yet these were the most coveted honors in the whole Greek world. And so you think about 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 25. Paul says, and everyone who competes for the prize is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a perishable crown. Again, there is that Stephanos crown, but we for an imperishable crown. He talks about the athlete. They train, they endure, they suffer, the things they need to do in order to be stronger and be better as athletes, and they do it to gain a reward that's just going to turn to dust one of these days. Whereas as Christians, we're striving for that reward that will never fade away. I love 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 6 through 8. Every time a faithful Christian passes this is a passage that I think about, where Paul writes, For I am already being poured out as a drink offering. In other words, he knows he's about to be put to death. And he says, my departure is at hand. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Finally, there's laid up for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will give me on that last day, and not to me only, but also to all who have loved his appearing. And so that reward is available for all of us. Paul received it at the end when he finished his journey. When the race is over, that's when the crown is given out. And so to them that love him, it is a reward for those who are faithful throughout their life, who are faithful, as Jesus said in Revelation 2 and verse 10, he said there, be faithful unto death, and I will give you a crown of life. And so James says, blessed is the man who endures temptation, for when he has been approved, he will receive the crown of life, which the Lord has promised to those who love him. I hope this will be an encouragement to you to maybe you're going through difficulties in life. I don't know what situation you may be facing. It may just be a family problem. It may be you're in trouble with the law. Whatever it is, be faithful to God and seek him and seek to have and understand that if you can endure this trial, this affliction, just your daily living, if you can endure until the end, God will give you that crown of life just like he gave Paul, just like he will give all those who love him on the day of his return, on the day of judgment. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.